The morning sun of Kepler 442b cast its orange glow through the crystalline windows of the residential dome, painting everything in warm, amber hues. Sarah Chen adjusted the atmospheric controls one more time, ensuring the oxygen levels remained perfect for her 18-month-old daughter, Emma. Living on an alien world meant constant vigilance, even in the supposedly safe confines of New Geneva Colony. "Rex, come here, boy," Sarah called softly to the German shepherd lying near Emma's high chair. The dog had been restless all morning, pacing between the kitchen and the nursery with an unusual intensity that made Sarah's maternal instincts tingle with unease. Rex was normally the picture of calm discipline, a trait that had made him invaluable during their journey to this distant world. The Zephyrian Nanny, Veltar, glided into the kitchen with the fluid grace characteristic of her species. Her translucent blue skin shimmered as she moved, and her 4 delicate arms worked in perfect coordination to prepare Emma's breakfast. The Zephyrians had been humanity's first contact with intelligent alien life, and their generous offer to help establish human colonies throughout their sector of the galaxy had seemed like a blessing from the stars. The nutrition paste is perfectly calibrated for young human development, Veltar spoke in her melodious voice, her words formed by the complex series of breathing chambers that served as her vocal system. "I have added the mineral supplements that Dr. Kethamel recommended for optimal cognitive growth." Sarah nodded gratefully. The Zephyrians' medical knowledge far exceeded human understanding in many areas, particularly when it came to nutrition and biological optimization. Their offer to provide specialized nannies for human children had been welcomed by most colonist families, freeing parents to focus on the demanding work of terraforming and building their new civilization. Rex suddenly stood. His ears perked forward in that particular way that meant he had detected something wrong. The dog's training as a military working animal before the colony mission had never left him, and his senses often picked up threats that even the most advanced Zephyrian sensors missed. Sarah had learned to trust those instincts completely. "What is it, Rex?" Sarah asked, moving closer to where Veltar was spooning the pale green nutrition paste into Emma's bowl. The substance looked exactly like it always did, carefully formulated to provide everything a growing human child needed. The Zephyrians took great pride in their ability to analyze and replicate optimal nutrition for any species they encountered. Emma babbled happily from her high chair, reaching tiny hands toward the approaching bowl. Her bright eyes sparkled with the curiosity that seemed to mark all human children, a trait that the Zephyrians found both fascinating and slightly concerning. They often commented on how unpredictable human juveniles could be compared to their own methodically developing offspring. Veltar set the bowl on the high chair's tray and picked up the specially designed spoon. "She grows stronger each day," the nanny observed with what Sarah had learned to recognize as Zephyrian affection. "Her neural development patterns continue to exceed our projections. Human children are remarkably adaptable creatures." Rex moved closer, his powerful muscles tensed beneath his thick coat. The dog's nose twitched as he sniffed the air around Emma's breakfast, and a low growl began building in his chest. Sarah had never heard Rex make that particular sound before, not even during their encounters with the local wildlife during surveying missions. "Rex, what's wrong?" Sarah's voice carried a note of concern that made Veltar pause with the spoon halfway to Emma's mouth. The Zephyrian's large, multifaceted eyes shifted between the dog and the child, her expression showing confusion at the animal's behavior. The growl grew louder, and Rex positioned himself between Emma and Veltar. His hackles rose along his spine, making him appear even larger than his already impressive size. Sarah had seen Rex face down creatures twice his size without showing this level of agitation. Whatever was triggering his protective instincts was serious. Perhaps the animal is simply experiencing stress from the atmospheric differences, Veltar suggested, though her tone carried uncertainty. "Terran mammals sometimes struggle with the mineral content in our processed atmosphere. I could prepare a sedative compound if you wish." Sarah shook her head. "Rex has been fine for months. He's not stressed." She moved closer to examine the nutrition paste more carefully. To her human eyes, it appeared identical to every other meal Veltar had prepared. The consistency was perfect, the color exactly right, and the smell was neutral, just as it should be. Rex's growling intensified, and he took a step forward, placing himself directly in front of Emma's high chair. His intelligent brown eyes locked onto Veltar with an intensity that made the alien nanny step back involuntarily. The dog's lips pulled back slightly, revealing white teeth that had been bred for both protection and combat. "I think we should wait on breakfast," Sarah said, reaching for the bowl. "Let me just check something." Before she could take the bowl, Rex exploded into motion. The dog lunged forward with lightning speed, his powerful jaws snapping at Veltar's lower left arm. The Zephyrian cried out in alarm and pain as Rex's teeth found purchase. Though his bite was controlled enough to avoid serious injury, the bowl of nutrition paste flew from Veltar's grasp, splattering across the kitchen floor in a pale green explosion. "Rex, no!" Sarah shouted, but the dog was beyond commands now. His training had kicked in completely, and he was operating on pure protective instinct. He released Veltar's arm and positioned himself in front of Emma, every muscle coiled and ready for another attack if the threat persisted. Veltar stumbled backward, her blue skin flushing to a deeper shade that Sarah recognized as distress. "The animal has become dangerous," she gasped, cradling her injured arm. "We must contact security immediately. This behavior is completely unacceptable." Sarah's mind raced as she looked at the scattered nutrition paste on the floor. Rex had never shown aggression toward any of the aliens they had encountered. His temperament had been carefully evaluated before the colony mission, and his record was spotless. If he was attacking now, there had to be a reason. "Emma's okay," Sarah said, lifting her daughter from the high chair and holding her close. The baby seemed completely unaware of the drama, gurgling happily at the excitement. "Rex wouldn't hurt her. He's protecting her." The implications of that protection sent a chill down Sarah's spine as she stared at the spilled food covering her kitchen floor. The security response team arrived within minutes of Veltar's distress call, their sleek patrol vehicle gliding silently through the colony's main thoroughfare. Captain Martinez, the head of human security, stepped through the airlock first, followed by his Zephyrian counterpart, Commander Silthek. The two species had worked together to maintain order in New Geneva Colony for 3 years. Though incidents like this were extraordinarily rare, Rex remained positioned protectively in front of Emma's high chair, his body language still indicating high alert. Sarah had managed to calm him enough to stop the growling, but his eyes never left Veltar, who stood pressed against the far wall of the kitchen. The pale green nutrition paste had dried into crusty patches across the floor, creating an oddly abstract pattern that seemed to mock the morning's chaos. "Can someone explain what happened here?" Captain Martinez asked, his weathered face showing the kind of tired concern that came from dealing with too many impossible situations. He had served in 3 different conflicts before volunteering for colony duty, but managing the delicate balance between human and alien cultures presented challenges that military training had never prepared him for. The canine became inexplicably aggressive. Veltar spoke first, her musical voice wavering slightly with continued distress. "I was simply preparing the child's morning nutrition when the animal attacked without provocation. I fear it may have developed some form of psychological disorder from the environmental stress." Commander Silthek moved closer to examine Veltar's injured arm, his scanner device humming softly as it analyzed the bite marks. "The damage is superficial," he announced. "Standard medical treatment will suffice. However, the behavior pattern described is concerning. Terran mammals have shown adaptation difficulties in previous colony situations." Sarah shifted Emma higher in her arms, feeling the weight of suspicion beginning to settle on Rex and, by extension, on her family's judgment. "Rex isn't sick," she said firmly. "He's been perfectly healthy and well-adjusted since we arrived. This isn't random aggression. He was protecting Emma from something." "Ma'am, I understand your attachment to the animal," Captain Martinez said gently. "But we have to consider all possibilities. Dogs can develop behavioral issues under stress, and the environmental factors here are unlike anything on Earth." Rex's ears twitched at the mention of his home planet, but he remained focused on Veltar. Sarah noticed that the dog's attention wasn't wandering at all, which was unusual. Normally, Rex would greet Captain Martinez enthusiastically, having worked with the security team on several occasions. His continued vigilance suggested that he still perceived an active threat. "I want the nutrition paste analyzed," Sarah said suddenly. "Before we assume Rex is having problems, let's make sure there wasn't something wrong with Emma's food." Commander Silthek's large eyes shifted between Sarah and the scattered remains of the breakfast. "The nutrition formulation is prepared according to strict protocols," he said. Our medical teams have been refining human dietary requirements for years. The possibility of contamination is virtually non-existent. Then analysis should confirm that quickly, Sarah replied, her voice carrying the steel that had gotten her selected for the colony mission in the first place. If the food is fine, then we can focus on Rex's behavior. If it's not, Captain Martinez nodded slowly. Fair enough. We'll take samples for testing. He gestured to one of his team members who began carefully collecting the dried paste from various locations around the kitchen. But we also need to have Rex examined by the veterinary team. Dr. Reeves arrived as the evidence collection was finishing. The colony's only veterinarian was a compact woman, whose expertise with earth animals had made her invaluable in maintaining the health of the various dogs, cats, and horses that had accompanied the human settlers. She approached Rex carefully, reading his body language with professional expertise. "Hello, big guy," she said softly, extending her hand for Rex to sniff. The dog's tension lessened slightly at her familiar scent, but his position relative to Emma and Veltar didn't change. "Sarah, has he shown any other unusual behaviors recently?" "Nothing," Sarah replied. "He's been completely normal until this morning. He was restless when he first woke up, but I thought he just needed exercise." Dr. Reeves nodded as she ran a portable scanner over Rex's body, checking for signs of neurological distress or physical illness. The device beeped softly as it analyzed his vitals, brain activity, and stress hormone levels. "Everything looks normal," she announced after several minutes. "No signs of disease, psychological trauma, or environmental poisoning." "That's impossible," Veltar interjected. "The animal clearly demonstrated aggressive behavior toward me specifically. There must be some explanation for this deviation from normal temperament." Dr. Reeves looked thoughtful as she studied Rex's continued alertness. "Actually, this isn't random aggression. This is protective behavior. Rex perceives Veltar as a threat to Emma, not to himself or Sarah. The question is whether that perception is accurate or not." Commander Silthek made a sound that Sarah had learned indicated skepticism among his species. Terran animals lack the cognitive capacity for such complex threat assessment. Their responses are primarily instinctual and often incorrect in modern environments. "Don't underestimate him," Dr. Reeves said quietly. "Dogs have been human companions for thousands of years. They've evolved alongside us to read situations that we might miss. Their sensory capabilities far exceed ours in many areas." The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. If Rex was right to protect Emma, then Veltar represented some kind of danger. If Rex was wrong, then the dog's reliability as a protector was compromised. Either possibility had serious consequences for the colony's delicate social balance. Sarah watched as Captain Martinez conferred quietly with Commander Silthek near the kitchen entrance. Their body language suggested disagreement, though both species were too diplomatic to show open conflict. The analysis of Emma's nutrition paste would take several hours, but decisions about Rex's status needed to be made immediately. "I want Rex to stay with Emma," Sarah said, interrupting the quiet conference. "Whatever's going on separating them isn't safe." "Mrs. Chen," Commander Silthek said formally, "if the animal has become unstable, exposing your offspring to continued contact could be dangerous. And if he's protecting her from a real threat, separating them could be fatal," Sarah replied. "I trust Rex's instincts more than I trust protocols right now." Emma chose that moment to babble happily and reach toward Rex, her tiny fingers grasping at the air between them. The dog's stern expression softened slightly as he glanced at the baby, but his attention immediately returned to monitoring Veltar's position. Captain Martinez sighed heavily. "We'll compromise. Rex stays, but we maintain security presence until the analysis is complete. And Veltar, you'll need to remain available for questioning until we understand what happened here." The Zephyrian Nanny's skin color shifted to a deeper blue that Sarah recognized as distress or offense. "I am being treated as a suspect because of an animal's behavior? This is unprecedented." "These are unprecedented circumstances," Dr. Reeves observed. "In my experience, when a well-trained dog shows this kind of specific protective behavior, it's worth taking seriously." As the security teams established their monitoring positions and the laboratory technicians departed with their samples, Sarah found herself studying Veltar with new eyes. The alien had cared for Emma faithfully for months, showing nothing but gentle competence. But Rex's unwavering suspicion suggested that something fundamental had changed, something that only his superior senses could detect. Dr. Kim Nakamura, the colony's chief biochemist, burst through the laboratory doors with an expression that made everyone in the hallway stop and stare. Her usually pristine lab coat was wrinkled, and her normally perfect hair hung loose around her shoulders. She had been working nonstop for 18 hours since the samples arrived, running every test protocol the colony possessed and several she had improvised specifically for this analysis. "Captain Martinez," she called out, her voice carrying across the administrative sector. "We need to talk. Now." The security chief emerged from the briefing room where he had been coordinating with the Zephyrian authorities. Commander Silthek followed, his graceful movements betraying none of the tension that had been building throughout the colony as word of the incident spread. The delicate balance of trust between the species was being tested in ways that no one had anticipated. "What did you find?" Martinez asked, though Dr. Nakamura's expression had already given him a sinking feeling about the answer. "The nutrition paste was contaminated," she said without preamble, "but not with anything accidental. Someone deliberately added a compound that I've never seen before. It's unlike any known Earth toxin, and it doesn't match anything in our xenobiology databases." Commander Silthek's skin color shifted to a pale, almost transparent shade that indicated extreme surprise among his species. "That is impossible. Our food preparation systems include multiple contamination safeguards. No unknown compounds could enter the nutrition supply without triggering immediate alerts." Dr. Nakamura pulled out her portable analysis unit and displayed a complex molecular diagram. "The compound is incredibly sophisticated. It's designed to integrate perfectly with human digestive enzymes, but it breaks down into something else entirely once it reaches specific neural pathways. If Emma had consumed this, it would have caused progressive neurological damage over several weeks." The hallway fell silent, except for the soft humming of the colony's atmospheric processors. Captain Martinez felt the blood drain from his face as he processed the implications. "You're saying someone tried to poison Emma?" "Not just poison," Dr. Nakamura continued, her voice growing more troubled. "This compound is specifically designed to target developing human neural tissue. It would have affected her cognitive development permanently, but in such a gradual way that it would have appeared to be a natural developmental delay. By the time anyone noticed symptoms, the damage would have been irreversible." Commander Silthek studied the molecular display with the intense focus that marked his species when confronting complex problems. This level of biochemical sophistication requires extensive knowledge of human neurophysiology. Such expertise does not exist among our general population. "Which means," Captain Martinez said slowly, "this was planned by someone with access to advanced medical research, someone who knew exactly how human children develop and how to disrupt that process without detection." The group moved quickly toward the secure briefing room, where Sarah was waiting with Emma and Rex. The dog had not relaxed his vigilance during the hours of waiting, maintaining his protective stance despite offers of food and water. Dr. Reeves had remained with them, monitoring both Rex's behavior and Emma's condition for any signs of exposure. When the door opened, Rex immediately focused on Commander Silthek with renewed intensity. The dog's hackles rose slightly and a low rumble began building in his chest. The reaction was subtle but unmistakable to anyone familiar with canine behavior patterns. "Rex knows something," Dr. Reeves observed quietly. "His response to Commander Silthek is different from his reaction to Captain Martinez or Dr. Nakamura. More suspicious." Sarah looked up from where she sat holding Emma, her face showing the strain of the past day. "What did you find?" Dr. Nakamura shared her analysis, watching Sarah's expression change from concern to horror to a fierce protective anger that reminded everyone why humans had been selected for colonial expansion, despite their emotional volatility. "Someone tried to hurt my daughter? The compound would have caused permanent cognitive impairment," Dr. Nakamura confirmed. But Rex's intervention prevented Emma from consuming any of it. His reaction saved her from irreversible brain damage. Rex's tail moved slightly at the sound of his name, but his attention remained fixed on monitoring the room for threats. The dog's behavior had shifted into something that Dr. Reeves recognized as combat readiness, suggesting that he still perceived danger despite the apparent safety of the secure facility. "We need to question Veltar again," Captain Martinez said. "If she prepared the food, she either added the compound herself or someone accessed the preparation area without her knowledge. Commander Silthek's transparency shifted to a more solid blue-green that indicated deep thought. Veltar has served human families for 2 years without incident. Her psychological evaluations have been consistently positive. However, the compound's sophistication suggests coordination with our medical research teams. The implications hung heavy in the air. If Veltar was involved, it suggested a conspiracy among the Zephyrians to harm human children. If she was innocent, then someone with extensive access to both human physiology data and Zephyrian food preparation systems was operating within the colony. There's something else, Dr. Nakamura added reluctantly. I found traces of this same compound in archived food samples from 3 other human families, all families with children under 2 years old. The room temperature seemed to drop several degrees as everyone processed this information. Captain Martinez felt his military training kick in as the scope of the threat became clear. We're looking at a systematic targeting of human children. This isn't random violence. It's coordinated biological warfare. Rex suddenly stood, his attention focusing on something beyond human perception. His ears swiveled toward the door, and his body language indicated the approach of something he considered threatening. Dr. Reeves checked her scanner, but it showed no unusual readings from the hallway outside. Someone's coming, she said, trusting Rex's superior senses. Someone he doesn't like. Moments later, the door chimed with an incoming communication request. Commander Silthek checked the identification system and announced, Dr. Kethmol requests entry. He leads our pediatric nutrition research team. Rex's growl became audible for the first time since the morning's incident. The dog positioned himself between Emma and the door, his entire body radiating protective aggression. Sarah instinctively pulled her daughter closer, remembering that Rex's instincts had already proven more reliable than any technology the colony possessed. Don't let him in, Sarah said quietly. Not until we understand what's happening. Captain Martinez nodded, his hand moving instinctively toward his sidearm. Dr. Kethmol, we're conducting a security investigation. Your presence is not required at this time. The response came through the communication system in the melodious voice characteristic of Zephyrian authority figures. I understand there have been concerns about nutrition protocols. My expertise may be valuable in resolving any misunderstandings. Dr. Nakamura checked her analysis data again, cross-referencing the compound's molecular structure with her database of Zephyrian research projects. Captain, she said urgently, Dr. Kethmol's name appears on several research papers about human neurological development. He has extensive knowledge about exactly the kind of compounds we found. Rex's protective stance intensified, and even Emma seemed to sense the tension, becoming quieter and more still in her mother's arms. The dog's behavior was providing intelligence that their most advanced sensors had missed, demonstrating capabilities that were forcing everyone to reconsider their assumptions about animal intelligence and human intuition. The pieces of a larger conspiracy were beginning to fall into place, with Rex serving as an early warning system that had prevented what could have been a catastrophic attack on human children throughout the colony. The emergency session of the Colony Council convened at Oro 300 hours, with human and Zephyrian representatives gathering in the central administrative dome, under circumstances that no one had anticipated when the charter was signed 5 years earlier. Governor Patricia Walsh sat at the head of the oval table, her weathered face showing the strain of making decisions that could determine the future of human expansion into this sector of the galaxy. Rex lay quietly beside Sarah's chair, but his alertness never wavered. The dog had been granted special permission to attend after Dr. Reeves argued that his threat detection capabilities had proven superior to any technological systems the colony possessed. Several Zephyrian council members had objected, but the evidence of his accuracy was becoming impossible to ignore. Dr. Nakamura, Governor Walsh began, please present your findings to the full council. The biochemist stood, activating the holographic display system that projected her molecular analysis above the table. The complex compound structure rotated slowly, its alien design clearly visible to all present. The toxin found in Emma Chen's food is unlike anything in our databases. It's specifically engineered to target human neural development while remaining undetectable by standard screening protocols. Council member Jichtek, one of the most senior Zephyrians in the colony, leaned forward with apparent concern. Such specificity would require extensive research into human physiology. Our medical protocols are designed to protect, not harm. That's what makes this so troubling, Dr. Nakamura continued. The compound's design shows intimate knowledge of human biochemistry that goes far beyond normal medical research. Someone has been studying our children's neural development with the specific goal of disrupting it. Captain Martinez added his security assessment to the briefing. We've identified contamination in food prepared for 17 different human families, all with children under 3 years old. The targeting pattern is precise and systematic. This represents a coordinated attack on the next generation of human colonists. The room fell silent as the implications settled over the assembled representatives. If successful, the attack would have created an entire generation of cognitively impaired human children, effectively crippling humanity's ability to maintain a viable colony in Zephyrian space. High Counselor Threndal, the ranking Zephyrian representative, spoke with carefully controlled emotion. These allegations suggest treachery among our people. Such actions would violate every principle of interspecies cooperation that our civilizations have built together. Rex's head lifted slightly, his eyes focusing on Threndal with an intensity that made Sarah's breath catch. The dog's reaction was subtle, but unmistakable to anyone who had learned to read his signals. Even now, surrounded by supposed allies, Rex was detecting threats that no one else could perceive. There's more, Dr. Nakamura said reluctantly. I've analyzed the research archives with emergency authorization from Earth Command. Dr. Kethmal's team has been conducting extensive studies on human neural plasticity for the past 3 years. Their stated purpose was developing optimal nutrition protocols. But the depth of their research goes far beyond anything necessary for that goal. She highlighted specific sections of the research data, showing detailed analysis of human cognitive development patterns, neural pathway formation, and the specific biochemical processes that could be disrupted to cause permanent impairment. This level of research would be necessary to create the compound we found, but it would also serve other purposes. Governor Walsh studied the data with growing unease. What other purposes? Understanding human cognitive advantages, Dr. Nakamura replied. The research focuses heavily on the neural structures that give humans our pattern recognition abilities, our intuitive problem-solving skills, and our capacity for rapid adaptation to new environments. Counselor Jitek's skin color shifted to a pale transparency that indicated shock among his species. You believe they were studying human cognitive abilities to understand how to neutralize them? I believe they were trying to understand why humans are so successful at tasks that our more advanced civilizations struggle with, Dr. Nakamura said carefully. The research shows particular interest in human creativity, lateral thinking, and our ability to form strong emotional bonds with other species. Rex raised his head fully at the mention of interspecies bonds. His ears perked forward as if recognizing the relevance to his own situation. The dog's presence at this meeting was itself a demonstration of the phenomenon being discussed, the unique relationship between humans and Earth animals that had proven more effective than advanced alien technology. High Counselor Threndal stood slowly, his forearms moving in the complex gesture that indicated formal address among his people. I must speak truthfully to this assembly. There are factions within Zephyrian society that view human expansion with concern. Your species' unpredictability and rapid adaptation represent variables that our long-term planning cannot account for. The human representatives exchanged glances as the first admission of Zephyrian concern about humanity became public. Governor Walsh leaned forward, her voice carrying the authority that had made her Earth's choice to lead this critical colony. Are you saying this attack was sanctioned by your government? No, Threndal replied firmly. But there are those who believe that human influence should be limited. Your cognitive advantages make you formidable competitors for resources and territory. A faction exists that would prefer humanity to remain dependent on Zephyrian guidance rather than developing independent capabilities. Sarah felt her anger rising as the scope of the conspiracy became clear. They were going to brain damage our children to keep us under control. The affected children would have required extensive support throughout their lives, Dr. Nakamura confirmed. They would have been capable of basic functions but never able to achieve the cognitive independence that makes humans effective colonists. Entire families would have been forced to focus on caregiving rather than expansion and development. Rex suddenly stood, his attention fixed on the conference room's secondary entrance. His hackles rose, and the low growl that had preceded his attack on Veltar began building in his chest. Dr. Reeves quickly checked her scanner, but the device showed no approaching life signs. "Someone's coming," Sarah said, trusting Rex's superior senses completely. "Someone he considers a threat." Captain Martinez moved toward the entrance, his hand on his weapon. "All entrances are secured. No one should be able to approach without authorization." Rex's growl intensified, and he positioned himself between the door and the assembled humans. His training and instincts had merged into a protective stance that radiated lethal competence. The dog's behavior was providing early warning of danger that even the colony's most advanced security systems had failed to detect. The lights in the conference room suddenly dimmed, and the holographic display flickered as power fluctuations ran through the building's systems. Emergency lighting activated, casting eerie shadows that made everyone in the room appear alien and threatening. "Security alert," came the announcement through the communication system. "Unauthorized access detected in Section C. All personnel remain in secured positions." High Counselor Threndal's skin color shifted to a deep blue that indicated fear or extreme stress. Section C houses our medical research facilities. If Dr. Kethmal's team is attempting to destroy evidence or eliminate witnesses, Captain Martinez added grimly. Rex's protective behavior was no longer focused on theoretical threats. The conspiracy that had targeted human children was now moving to eliminate anyone who could expose their activities. The dog's superior threat detection had evolved, from preventing a single poisoning to providing early warning of an active assault on the colony's leadership. Governor Walsh activated the emergency protocols that would seal the administrative dome and call for reinforcements from Earth Command. This has moved beyond a criminal investigation. We're looking at an active war against human colonization efforts. The revelation that some Zephyrians viewed human cognitive abilities as a threat sufficient to justify attacking children changed everything about the relationship between the species. Rex continued his vigilant protection, proving that the bonds between humans and their animal companions represented capabilities that even the most advanced alien civilizations had failed to understand or replicate. The emergency transmission from Earth Command arrived through quantum relay systems that bypassed normal Zephyrian communication networks. Admiral Rebecca Torres appeared on the holographic display, her expression grim as she addressed the sealed council chamber from her command ship 3 light-years away. Behind her, the familiar blue marble of Earth hung in the starfield, a reminder of how far humanity had traveled in their expansion among the stars. "Governor Walsh," the Admiral began without preamble, "we've received similar reports from 4 other human colonies in Zephyrian space. Systematic poisoning attempts targeting children, all using compounds designed to cause cognitive impairment. This is not an isolated incident." Rex remained at full alert beside Sarah's chair, his senses attuned to threats that the Council's security systems continued to miss. The dog's behavior had become a crucial component of their defense strategy, providing early warning capabilities that no technology could match. Dr. Reeves monitored him constantly, interpreting his subtle signals for the human leadership. Governor Walsh felt the weight of interstellar politics settling on her shoulders. "How widespread is this, Admiral?" "Intelligence suggests a coordinated effort across at least 12 colony worlds. The attacks are too sophisticated and too synchronized to be the work of isolated extremist groups. We're looking at an organized conspiracy that extends deep into Zephyrian scientific and governmental institutions." High Counselor Threndal's skin color shifted through several transparency levels as he processed the implications. "Admiral Torres, I must emphasize that these actions do not represent official Zephyrian policy. Our government values the alliance with humanity, but clearly not everyone in your civilization shares that view," Admiral Torres replied. "Our xenopsychology teams have been analyzing the pattern of attacks. Someone has been studying human cognitive development with the specific goal of preventing our species from reaching full independence." Dr. Nakamura activated her research display, sharing the data she had compiled over the past day. The compounds used in each attack show variations that suggest different research teams, but they all target the same neural pathways. Someone has been coordinating this effort across multiple star systems. The scope of the conspiracy was staggering. What had begun as a single dog protecting a child from poisoned food had uncovered a galaxy-spanning effort to cripple human expansion through biological warfare, targeting the most vulnerable members of their species. There's something else, Admiral Torres continued. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected unusual Zephyrian fleet movements near 3 of the affected colonies. Ships that were supposedly engaged in routine patrol duties have been positioned to respond rapidly to any disturbances. Captain Martinez understood the implication immediately. They were ready to provide assistance if their biological attack caused panic and social breakdown. Positioned themselves as saviors while secretly being the attackers. Rex's ears swiveled toward the communication array, and his hackles rose slightly. The dog had learned to associate incoming transmissions with potential threats, and his behavior suggested that someone was attempting to monitor or interfere with their secure communications. "Admiral," Dr. Reeves said, watching Rex's signals, "you may want to check for eavesdropping attempts. Rex is indicating electronic surveillance." The quantum relay immediately showed signs of interference as Earth Command's security protocols detected attempted intrusion. Someone was trying to monitor their conversation in real time, despite the supposedly secure nature of the emergency communication system. "Confirmed," Admiral Torres announced. "Multiple intrusion attempts from sources within Zephyrian space. They're trying to monitor our response to their attacks." High Counselor Threndal stood slowly, his forearms moving in complex gestures that indicated formal distress among his people. This level of coordination suggests involvement from the Scientific Directorate and possibly the Fleet Command. "I fear the conspiracy reaches higher in our government than I initially believed." Governor Walsh studied the alien representative carefully. "Counselor, I need to know where your loyalties lie. Are you working with us to stop this, or are you part of the problem?" Rex's attention focused briefly on Threndal, but the dog's body language remained neutral. Unlike his reactions to Veltar, Dr. Kethamol, and the approaching threats he had detected, Rex showed no particular suspicion of this particular Zephyrian. The absence of threat detection was almost as informative as its presence. "I stand with the Alliance," Threndal replied firmly. "These attacks violate everything our species claim to value about cooperation between civilizations. But I must warn you that the forces behind this conspiracy have resources that extend far beyond what you have discovered so far." Admiral Torres leaned forward in the transmission. "What kind of resources?" "The Zephyrian Scientific Directorate has been studying human expansion for decades," Threndal explained. "Not just your technology or your social structures, but your fundamental cognitive processes. They have been trying to understand why your species adapts so quickly to new environments and forms such effective partnerships with other life forms." The Admiral's expression grew more serious. "They've been studying us as potential threats? They have been studying you as an unpredictable variable in their long-term galactic planning models," Threndal clarified. "Zephyrian civilization values stability and predictable outcomes. Human creativity and adaptability represent chaos factors that their strategic computers cannot effectively model." Dr. Nakamura reviewed her research data with this new context. The neural pathways they targeted with the toxin are specifically the ones associated with creative problem-solving and rapid learning. They weren't just trying to create dependent children. They were trying to eliminate the cognitive traits that make humans effective colonists. Sarah held Emma closer, understanding for the first time that her daughter represented something that an entire alien civilization viewed as a threat. "They're afraid of us, not our weapons or our technology, but our minds. Your mental flexibility threatens their concept of galactic order," Threndal confirmed. "Many of my people believe that allowing humans to develop unrestricted independence will lead to unpredictable changes throughout this sector of space." Rex suddenly stood, his attention focusing on something beyond the council chamber. His protective stance indicated an immediate threat, but his specific positioning suggested that the danger was approaching from multiple directions simultaneously. Dr. Reeves quickly activated her scanner array, trying to understand what the dog was detecting. "Multiple contacts approaching the administrative dome," she announced. "Rex is indicating coordinated movement from at least 3 different vectors." Captain Martinez activated the emergency defense protocols, sealing the chamber and alerting his security teams throughout the colony. "Admiral, we may be under direct attack." The conspiracy appears to be moving beyond biological warfare to direct action. Understood, Governor, Admiral Torres replied. The fleet is moving to support all affected colonies. But you need to understand that this may be the beginning of a larger conflict. If the Zephyrian government is willing to attack human children to prevent our independence, they may be preparing for war. The revelation that humanity's cognitive abilities and adaptability were viewed as existential threats by their supposed allies transformed the entire context of human expansion into the galaxy. Rex's protective instincts had uncovered not just a local conspiracy, but evidence of a fundamental conflict between human nature and alien concepts of galactic stability. Emma babbled softly in her mother's arms, unaware that her developing mind represented the kind of potential that could reshape entire civilizations. The biological attack on human children was not random cruelty, but a calculated attempt to prevent humanity from achieving the cognitive independence that would make them equals rather than dependents in the galactic community. The coordinated attack on the administrative dome began precisely at 0400 hours, with Zephyrian security forces moving through the colony's outer districts under the pretense of investigating terrorist threats. But Rex had detected their approach long before any electronic sensors registered movement, and his early warning had given the human defenders precious minutes to prepare for what was clearly no longer a criminal investigation, but an act of war. Governor Walsh stood in the emergency command center, watching tactical displays that showed Zephyrian forces surrounding key human facilities throughout New Geneva colony. The aliens' movements were precise and coordinated, suggesting military planning that had been in development for months or possibly years. What they had not planned for was the unique capabilities that humans brought to defensive operations. Rex has identified at least 15 separate Zephyrian units moving through sectors that our sensors show as empty, Captain Martinez reported. His threat detection is providing intelligence that our most advanced surveillance systems are missing completely. Dr. Reeves coordinated with the colony's other animal handlers, deploying the 43 dogs, 16 cats, and 8 horses that had accompanied the human settlers. Each animal was paired with human handlers who had learned to interpret their superior sensory capabilities. The resulting network provided early warning coverage that exceeded anything the Zephyrians had anticipated. Facing, the cats are detecting electronic surveillance devices that are scanners missed, she announced, and the horses are sensing ground vibrations from movement in the underground maintenance tunnels. We're getting intelligence from directions that standard military doctrine never considers. Sarah remained in the secure command center with Emma, but Rex had been deployed to coordinate with the other animals in a defensive network that demonstrated the unique partnership between humans and Earth species. The dog's ability to communicate threat information to his human handlers, combined with his species' pack coordination instincts, created a command and control system that alien forces had no experience countering. Admiral Torres maintained communication from her approaching fleet, providing strategic coordination, while the colonists demonstrated why humans had been successful in expanding across hostile environments throughout their history. Governor, preliminary intelligence suggests this attack is designed to test human defensive capabilities under stress. They want to know how effectively you can respond when isolated from Earth support. Then let's show them, Governor Walsh replied grimly. The first Zephyrian assault team encountered human resistance in the agricultural sector, where colonist families had been working to adapt Earth crops to alien soil conditions. The farmers had armed themselves with improvised weapons and coordinated their defense using hand signals and whistle codes that their animals could understand and relay. The attacking forces found themselves facing opponents who seemed to anticipate their movements with uncanny accuracy. How are they predicting our tactical movements? Came the intercepted Zephyrian communication. Their defensive positions respond to our approaches before we execute them. The answer lay in capabilities that Zephyrian strategic planning had never incorporated. Rex and the other dogs could detect the approaching aliens by scent from distances that exceeded visual range. The cats identified electronic surveillance and communication equipment that the aliens were using to coordinate their attacks. The horses sensed ground vibrations that revealed movement through areas that appeared empty to conventional sensors. Dr. Nakamura worked frantically in the research facility, analyzing the biological weapons that had been deployed against human children, while developing countermeasures that could protect the colony's most vulnerable residents. Her work was assisted by laboratory animals whose superior senses helped identify compounds and threats that standard analysis missed. The toxins they used against our children represent just the beginning, she reported to the command center. I'm finding evidence of atmospheric agents designed to affect human cognitive function during stress. They've been planning to deploy biological weapons during any conflict to reduce our tactical effectiveness, but the Zephyrians had not accounted for the emotional bonds that drove human performance under threat. Parents fighting to protect their children, partners supporting each other through crisis, and the deep connections between humans and their animal companions created motivation levels that alien psychology had never encountered. Where Zephyrian forces operated according to calculated strategic objectives, humans fought with passionate determination that exceeded all predictable parameters. Rex demonstrated this bond when he abandoned his coordinated patrol to return to Emma's location after detecting a specific threat signature that indicated danger to his primary charge. The dog's decision to prioritize protection over military objectives would have been considered a tactical error by Zephyrian standards, but it led to the discovery of a stealth infiltration team that had bypassed all conventional security measures. The animal's emotional attachment to the offspring led to detection of our primary assault team. Came another intercepted alien communication. This level of individual initiative cannot be predicted or countered using standard tactical models. Captain Martinez coordinated the human response using principles that emphasized individual creativity and adaptive thinking over rigid command structures. Each defensive team was given broad objectives, but allowed to develop their own methods for achieving them. The resulting tactics were chaotic and unpredictable, exactly the opposite of the ordered, systematic approach that Zephyrian military doctrine expected to face. Human teenagers reprogrammed maintenance robots to serve as mobile sensor platforms. Elderly colonists used their knowledge of the facility's construction to identify vulnerabilities in alien assault plans. Children too young to fight directly served as messengers and spotters, their size and speed allowing them to move through areas that adults could not access safely. Governor, Admiral Torres announced through the quantum relay, I'm receiving reports from the other colonies under attack. They're all showing similar patterns of resistance. The aliens expected to face organized military responses that they could counter with superior technology. Instead, they're encountering adaptive defense networks that improvise solutions faster than their strategic computers can analyze. The turning point came when Rex led a coordinated animal attack on the Zephyrian command post. 43 dogs moving in pack formation, supported by cats providing reconnaissance and horses creating distraction, overwhelmed alien defenders who had no experience facing Earth predators operating as a unified force. The animals' natural hunting instincts, enhanced by their bonds with human handlers, created tactical capabilities that no military academy had ever studied. Their defensive network appears to be based on emotional relationships rather than command hierarchies. Intercepted communications revealed growing alien confusion. Individual units operate independently while maintaining coordination through methods we cannot identify or disrupt. The biological agents that the Zephyrians deployed to reduce human cognitive function during the battle had the opposite effect. Stress hormones and protective instincts enhanced human creativity and problem-solving abilities, while the presence of their animal companions provided emotional support that maintained peak performance throughout the conflict. Sarah watched from the command center as Rex returned from his mission, slightly wounded but victorious. The dog's success in coordinating multi-species tactics against technologically superior opponents demonstrated the unique capabilities that made humans effective colonists and, apparently, existential threats to civilizations that valued predictable order above all else. The colony's successful defense against coordinated alien attack proved that human cognitive advantages, emotional bonds, and adaptive thinking created military capabilities that could not be easily countered through conventional strategic planning. The same traits that the Zephyrians had tried to eliminate in human children were exactly what enabled effective resistance against their assault. 3 months after the failed assault on New Geneva Colony, Admiral Torres stood before the Galactic Council on the neutral station of Kepler Prime, presenting evidence that would forever change the relationship between humanity and the established alien civilizations. Rex sat quietly beside her, wearing a specially designed harness that identified him as an official representative of the Human-Animal Alliance, a partnership that had proven more militarily effective than any technology the galaxy had previously witnessed. Honored representatives, Admiral Torres began, addressing the assembled delegates from 14 different species. The events at New Geneva Colony have demonstrated capabilities that require a fundamental reassessment of human participation in galactic affairs. The Zephyrian delegation, led by High Counselor Threndall, sat in subdued contemplation. The conspiracy to eliminate human cognitive advantages through biological warfare had been exposed across 12 star systems, leading to the arrest of over 300 conspirators and the complete restructuring of Zephyrian scientific oversight. The attack on human children had backfired catastrophically, revealing exactly the capabilities that the aliens had hoped to suppress. The coordinated defense mounted by human colonists demonstrated tactical innovations that our military academies had never encountered, admitted General Krixtall of the Altarian Defense Force. Their ability to integrate non-sentient species into combat operations created force multipliers that exceeded all strategic projections. Dr. Nakamura presented her analysis of the biological weapons that had been developed to target human children. The compounds were designed to eliminate specific neural pathways associated with creativity, adaptive thinking, and interspecies bonding. The conspirators correctly identified these traits as the source of human effectiveness, but they failed to understand that attempting to eliminate them would trigger exactly the defensive responses they feared most. Rex's presence at the Galactic Assembly was itself a demonstration of the phenomenon being discussed. The dog's ability to detect threats that advanced alien technology missed had become legendary throughout the galaxy. Military strategists from dozens of species were requesting permission to study human-animal partnerships, hoping to understand capabilities that seemed to violate everything they knew about combat effectiveness. Sarah Chen appeared via quantum relay from New Geneva Colony, holding 18-month-old Emma in her arms. The child, who had been targeted for cognitive destruction, was developing at an accelerated rate, showing the enhanced neural plasticity that occurred when human children were exposed to complex multi-species environments. Emma babbled happily at the assembled alien delegates, unaware that her developing mind represented a new stage in human evolution. "My daughter was targeted because someone feared what she might become," Sarah said simply. "They were right to be concerned, but not for the reasons they thought. Emma isn't a threat to galactic stability. She's the future of interspecies cooperation." The child's rapid development in a multi-species environment was producing cognitive capabilities that exceeded anything seen in Earth-born humans. Her ability to communicate with Rex through subtle cues and gestures demonstrated the kind of interspecies telepathy that alien civilizations had spent millennia trying to achieve through technology. High Counselor Threndall stood to address the assembly, his forearms moving in gestures of formal apology. The Zephyrian Scientific Directorate acted from fear of change rather than hope for progress. Our civilization's obsession with predictable outcomes blinded us to the benefits of human cognitive diversity. We formally request forgiveness and seek guidance on establishing genuine partnership rather than attempted control. The representative from the Crystalline Collective, a species that communicated through harmonic resonance, vibrated a complex melody that the translation systems rendered as profound, philosophical insight. The human approach to problem-solving through emotional bonds and adaptive thinking represents a new paradigm for galactic civilization. Their success suggests that our emphasis on logical optimization may be fundamentally limited. Admiral Torres activated a holographic display showing the tactical analysis of the New Geneva defense. Human forces achieved victory through methods that our military computers classified as impossible. Individual initiative combined with emotional motivation created performance levels that exceeded the sum of available resources. Traditional strategic models cannot account for forces that operate beyond mathematical optimization. Rex demonstrated his threat detection capabilities for the assembled delegates, identifying concealed weapons and surveillance devices that the station's security systems had missed. The dog's performance was so superior to available technology that several species requested immediate trade agreements for human-trained animals, offering resources that would accelerate human expansion throughout the galaxy. The conspiracy to limit human development has achieved the opposite result, observed the delegate from the Quantum Confederation. Attempts to suppress human cognitive advantages have instead revealed capabilities that make humanity indispensable, partners for any civilization seeking to solve complex adaptive challenges. Dr. Reeves presented the research data showing how human-animal partnerships enhanced both species' capabilities beyond individual limitations. The bonds between humans and Earth animals create hybrid intelligence networks that process information and respond to threats in ways that neither species could achieve independently. This represents a new form of consciousness that has implications for every aspect of galactic civilization. The Assembly voted unanimously to establish the Human-Animal Alliance as a protected classification under galactic law, recognizing the unique partnership as a form of enhanced sentience that deserved special legal status. The decision meant that any future attacks on human children or their animal companions would be considered crimes against a recognized form of collective consciousness. Emma gurgled happily as she reached toward Rex's image on the holographic display, her developing neural pathways already showing the enhanced connectivity that would characterize the next generation of human colonists. The child's cognitive development in a multi-species environment was producing capabilities that represented evolution in real time, justifying both the fears and the hopes that had driven the galactic conspiracy. The galaxy is changing because of what humans bring to interspecies relationships, Admiral Torres concluded. Our cognitive advantages don't threaten stability. They enable adaptation to challenges that no single species could face alone. The conspiracy to eliminate human potential has instead revealed why humanity is essential to galactic progress. Rex stood and moved to Sarah's side as the session concluded, his protective instincts satisfied that the immediate threats to human expansion had been neutralized. The dog's role in uncovering the conspiracy had elevated him to legendary status, but his primary concern remained the same simple duty that had driven his attack on a Zephyrian nanny 3 months earlier: protecting the human children who represented the future of his species. The failed attempt to suppress human cognitive development had instead accelerated it, creating a new generation of humans whose enhanced abilities would reshape galactic civilization. Emma and children like her would grow up in environments that maximized their adaptive potential, developing capabilities that would make humanity not just successful colonists but essential partners for any species seeking to thrive in an unpredictable universe. The galaxy had learned that attempting to control human nature was not only impossible but counterproductive. The same traits that made humans difficult to predict also made them invaluable allies in facing the unknown challenges that awaited all sentient species among the stars.